A Prince George's County police officer who died in a car crash in the line of duty was laid to rest today. Hundreds of officers, family, friends.
Officer Morris was killed when the cruiser that he and his partner were in went off the road and into a ditch. Morris was ejected from his vehicle.
When I first came to and realized what had happened and that we were off the road facing the wrong way in the woods, I remember asking if Morris was okay, and I didn't hear anything, and I looked over to the driver's seat and he wasn't in the vehicle. If I could go back in time, obviously I would have Morris have put his seatbelt on and go about the situation differently.
Anytime you lose an officer or have an officer hurt, no matter what the incident is, it's devastating for the police department. We're a family here, and we work very closely together in some of the worst circumstances people could imagine. When it could have been prevented, it's even worse.
More cops in America lose their lives every year to fatal crashes than felonious line-of-duty deaths. And we did a study in Prince George's County over 2 years and found that our seatbelt compliance rate was around 45%. Now, the national seatbelt compliance rate hovers around 85%. In the state of Maryland, it's even better. It's 91%. So there's something about our culture where we have 20-something cops who grew up wearing seatbelts. They grew up in an environment where seatbelt usage was accepted and mandatory. There were laws that required it. So what makes these 20-some-year-old cops all of a sudden stop wearing their seatbelts?
It is true. A lot of cops don't wear their seatbelts. They say all kinds of things like if you're going into a shooting or somebody's going to ambush you, you know, that split second you take your seatbelt off, which is, I mean, I guess that's what they believe, so that's what they're going to do. But it's not, I've never found that to be true for me. Well, if you don't get there safely and without hurting yourself, you can't do anything for anybody, and you're actually making it worse because now we have two situations we have to deal with.
I've heard every excuse in the book in my career. I truly have. But I can tell you that above all else, we need to arrive alive and come home alive. We will suffer traumatically in the event they don't make it to the next call, in the event they're killed in a collision.
My name is Shawnee Watson. I am an IT coordinator for the Prince George's County Police Department. I am the person you call if you have a computer that is not working properly, or if you need an intranet site created. But 9 years ago, I was a Prince George's County police officer. It was a pretty slow day on patrol that day, and I was responding to a breaking and entering to the county lot. Nighttime, the ground was wet, and I was responding priority to the breaking and entering. When I was turning a corner and my cruiser left the roadway, I heard a loud crash, and I remember seeing smoke. I knew I couldn't get out of the car. I really couldn't discern why I couldn't get out the car. After I got my thoughts together, I called for help on my radio. I am paralyzed from just about my rib cage down. I'm unable to have any control over the bottom half of my body, and the probability of me being able to walk is a little slim as the years goes on. I think if I was able to maybe slow down, not go at such a high rate of speed, that would have definitely increased my chances of having a better outcome.
I think with speed, police officers really, by our nature, we want to get there first. While people are running away from danger, there's something about cops that compels them to want to be the first one to step into that dangerous scenario.
We do in some ways feel that we're invincible, that we're Supermen out there, and that we're out there to save people, to save our communities, and in some ways that I think translates over into how we do our job. And in each one of those cases, it doesn't only put the officer's life obviously in jeopardy, but it affects his or her family, it affects our law enforcement family, and it affects the safety of really all the other citizens out there that we're really sworn to protect.
Driver, go ahead and pull over to the right. Pull over to the right.
The U.S. in College Park.
Any officer, before you get into your car and respond to a call, just be mindful that you need to wear your seatbelt. You need to slow down, be mindful of your speed, and to pay attention of your surroundings, because at the end of the day, if you do not make it to the call, you may be the person who's in need of help. And like for me, instead of doing the job that I love, which was being a police officer, now I'm sitting behind a desk and I am working with computers, when my heart is still truly being a police officer.
We've talked a lot about distracted driving, much of it because public officials and law enforcement have identified it as such a danger on our roads. Now, however, police officers are under scrutiny for driving while distracted. If you've looked at the electronics inside the average police cruiser, then you know what's competing for their attention along with the road, and it has its grave dangers.
Just stay still, please, sir. Please.
When I first became a cop, the only thing inside my police car was a place to pop your radio in and out of. I didn't have an AM/FM radio that worked. I had very little distractions. But now, with all the technology advancements, the interior of a police car looks like the cockpit of a jet. And I'm not too sure that we can accurately capture how much distractions contribute to crashes. So we have to do as much as we can to limit the distractions that police officers have while they're driving a 3,000-pound police car.
There are a lot of distractions, but we're also trained on how to limit those distractions, especially the unnecessary ones. Things such as not listening to the radio while I drive. Make sure that you're allowed to talk on your cell phone as long as you have your Bluetooth earpiece in or some type of handheld device. You can talk on your cell phone. But once again, that's also another distraction. So I try to limit things like that that's unnecessary.
We expect our family members, the community, to buckle up, not drive distracted, and not speed on our roadways. Our family members, the police departments that we work for, as well as the community, expect the same from us. And our goal around the country is to achieve 0 deaths.
We'll never have another son. He'll never be there.
And at that point, I figured he was gone.
You know, we have our own little memorial for him, and his friends, you know, but when I see them going out and getting married and doing things, it's hard.
A split second can change a life.
We don't ever want to see your story told on these walls.
I cry every day for him. Every day I shed a tear.
You know, for me personally, I have gone to far too many law enforcement funerals. And each time I go to it, I think we all feel, is there something that I could have done to prevent this tragedy? And in many cases, there isn't anything we could have done. However, in cases where the death is caused by distracted driving, by excessive speed, or by failing to wear a seatbelt, we could have done something, and we could have done something to prevent it. And I never want to be in the position again where I have to go up to a family member of a lost officer and have to use those words that I regret to inform you. The harder we work as an organization and as individual officers, the better chance we're going to have to get us to 0 deaths.
ID number 3510. ID number 3510. Communications ID number 3510. ID number 3510. 10 cents for the remainder.